Per usual, Matt's first. T-Bone, Mark, Javier. Good stuff, guys. Hopefully you guys are having a good week. It's been a quiet week for me, but a lot of things have just kind of played out. So 11th, Cody. Hey, man, 11th is still an important spot. So happy to have everybody here. So I'll give about 2 or 3 minutes to let people pile in. We've got 8 people in here. I usually like to wait a little bit, but once we get people in, we'll rock and roll. Hit Sally, you're 100% right. The usual suspects. It says I've been live for 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so I'm going to give it to 5 minutes. So you guys got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to do whatever you got to do, and we'll rock and roll. I just want to give everybody a chance to hop in before we get started, and we will go. All right, guys, simple. Here in about 2 minutes, we'll get started. Just going to give people a moment to pile in, and we'll rock and roll. Yeah, about 8:43. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I've been a little distant over the weekend. Just been busy, that's all. I don't know if many of you caught yesterday's upload. I did put it in Magic Updates. There is a 46-minute upload. There's very little talking until the end, but you do get to watch me run through almost every tool that I use to evaluate current price action from scratch, including Fibonacci time. So if you guys have time after this video, I would recommend you review that. If you have questions, just pop them into the chat. As always, this is my preferred Fibonacci pull, by the way. We'll get into that in just a second, why I chose it. You can kind of see how well respected it is here. We'll go down to like an hourly, for instance. You could have this one here for the 618, right? And then you just come down and to this guy right here. That'd be your next spot. These are your 2 pivot points that you should be choosing for your fibs. Pretty simple stuff. You get your .133, super well respected, right? .25, .382. Fibs are something that it's borderline what I was known for before I became a volume guy, so we'll get more into fibs here in the near future. I do want to do a more formal presentation on Fibonacci before doing too much with that, but that will give you guys a better idea of how we pull them, things like that. Let's check the time. And it says we are... Oh, hey, Luke, what's going on, man? Hey, Luke. Yeah, no, he told me that he'd sent you a link a while back, so happy to have you, man. Yeah, guys, so let's just get started. We've got enough people in here. Yeah, the price action has been pretty easy. I wouldn't say it's been easy, but I would say that it's been somewhat predictable. It is the weekend, so we know that any kind of pump on the weekend we do need to look at with some form of skepticism. I do want to kind of start this out as the a blank chart, so to speak, and just kind of roll from there. So we just closed the quarter, right? So we just had a quarterly close. So are there important areas on the chart to note? And there absolutely are. First area you are going to notice is that you do have a new quarterly level. Now, this quarterly level does actually coincide with your yearly open in this case. So it's not a new level in terms of the chart, but if we go down to like even an hourly, you can see that this level has been played with quite a bit. It has been very well respected from bounces, right? And even, in some cases, just support and resistance. That's all there is to it. So we are below the yearly open, which does mean that we are also, if we go out to a little bit higher time frame and take a look back at this price action, we are below that level. So it's something to note mentally while you're studying up these levels, just like some context, you're getting comfortable with the chart. You can see that we are below the range low if we are below the yearly open. This is also, again, a quarterly level on the chart. So it's just something to have in the back of your mind that, hey, this level at 46,195, it is material. It does matter. Your monthly open or your quarterly open, I guess in this case for April, does come in right here at 45,509. Again, I like to review these as going to the low time frames. So again, when we go to low time frames now, we can see that we have a yearly open very well respected. Very well respected. You lose it, where do you go? Generally back to the April open. If we lose the April open, well, one would think we would challenge these lows. Okay, so from there, you can see that we do have a very obvious channel here. I would draw this as a channel with the points at the highs. Okay, so we have very defined highs, strong highs here, swing failure pattern of the high, swing failure pattern of the high. This low right here is not actually a swing failure pattern of almost anything, unless you're counting this low right here, which, I mean, nothing really special about that, but you do get a very nice channel. We'll get a log actually for this. Very nice channel. So we should be operating off of, okay, we are inside of a channel, and that we do have some very important opens on our chart, the quarterly open or the April open, and the yearly open or the new quarterly resistance potential quarterly resistance. We don't really know yet. We don't have enough data. So back to the 3-month chart. Are there any other levels on the chart that we need to mark? There always are, guys. There's always going to be levels you can mark. The question is, should you have them on your chart? One level I'll point out again is the Q3 high. I have it as importante, just kind of a word that lets me know in my mind this is an important level on the chart. Okay, so very important. And then as always, we'll mark out our 3-month levels, and we could mark this one as a 3-month, but we're going to keep it as yearly open because we're pretty well comfortable with it. And the Q4 low. All right, so these are levels that right away we should look at and just say, man, these are very important levels to know about. And even if we just had a chart with only these levels on it, one could trade this chart fairly effectively, right? So that's how you want to start your chart out for the week, okay? I obviously have a box right here saying that this is where I'd like to end up. So we do need to get to that point at some point. These are just going to serve as triggers, basically. If we're living above 46,195, we know that we can challenge upwards into 47,200 to 47,500, potentially even 47,700, which realistically is the level that we've all been kind of like looking at for a while now. This is it right here. That is our high time frame key pivot. So as we start stacking levels on here, we'll begin I guess, evaluating and even potentially consolidating some of these levels to get rid of them, which is something that I know a lot of you struggle with. So it is why I want to start this chart off, because it is a quarterly open, and just do it from scratch so that you guys can see exactly how I start my chart and start to finish get my levels to determine what's the most important. So the pivot is going to remain for sure. I think that that is the best level to have on the chart, 47,707. Maybe interchangeable with 47,900 or 48,006, but 47,707 for me is the level. And we are coming down to the quarterly open. So giving up the quarterly open does make me think we could come back and back test this level here at 41,274 just based on where we're at. But we'll find out here in a second. So that is the 3-month chart, right? So we don't really have any other 3-month levels put on the chart. This is pretty well and good. Let's go down to our monthly chart. Do we have any levels that are important? Obviously, this open right here is material. It's where we kind of pseudo bounced from beforehand at 38,467.50, right? And we have a monthly up here, but you know, it's not really that important just yet. It's just not. It's only something that we can put on the chart. I'm going to take it off because eventually I'm going to put less lines on the chart, and we'll just determine what lines are most important. But that monthly is there. So we're down to the weekly. I'm not going to go to the bi-weekly on this one. I just don't think it's something we need to do. First thing I noticed on the weekly is we did swing fail this high right here. If you guys recall, this is the previous week high. We'll go down to an hourly for this. And you guys will note the previous week high here. As far as closures go, not even an hourly closure once we gave it up. Okay, so we have a very nice previous week high. It is something that I did make sure to note with a box with the weekly open at the time. This is your old weekly open. So we do have a new weekly open to mark. So I will take this box off and remove this. And right here, that's my weekly open. We will determine how important that level is later, but we're going to go ahead and adjust it now and just leave the previous week high there. And we can actually change this now to a weekly SFP, right? So we can actually just change this to this as we organize our chart. And we now know that $46,973 or $47,000 is fairly important. If we are above $47,000, where do we go? We generally try to challenge up in the range, okay? So we'll get to ranges in just a second, but you can see that we are now getting nice levels in between to day trade with, and then we'll organize our high time frame thoughts alongside of it. So back to the weekly chart. Are there any other levels we need to be aware of? Obviously 37.7. I don't think it is important as of right now. It's just a level that is there, but we're not really using it yet. There's no way I got, there it is, 37.7. Okay, so 37.7, very important. I know we have $43,000 right here. We may get to that, but at the same time, I'm going to wait. So these are the levels that I'm most concerned with. The weekly swing failure pattern you don't necessarily need right now, mainly because you did establish a weekly level here. So for me, I am going to go ahead and start consolidating as we notice things on the chart. This is a new weekly level as of this week. I'm just going to change it to a weekly. We've already changed to this level once. We can change it twice. That's okay. And there's our new weekly level at 46,820. All right. So we now have everything that we need. These are the levels that are most important in terms of high time frames. If you guys consider the daily a high time frame, you could do that. If we're going to look at the daily though and look for day trades, I would recommend going out to the 3-day if you can. You can see that you have a nice 3-day level here at the April open. There's no need to make that a level. And then you do have this very nice level right here. As a 3-day. And I really like the 3-day time frame. I know Rye Guy uses this quite a bit in his charts as well. Just so you guys know, 3-day is a very nice time frame to work off of, and you can see why right here. Just a very, very nice level. So I'm going to go ahead and add this into my folder. And so we know that supply, we had deleted it earlier, actually. We deleted this guy right here. We're going to go ahead and move this up to here. And we know that it starts, well, technically it does still come in right there. So we have a weekly level at 46,820 and a 3-day level at 47,139. This is where supply is coming in right now. If we were to crack these levels, I would expect to see higher prices. We do have a daily above that, but this daily has now been tapped once, twice, and it would be a third time if we were up there. So I would expect that to break. And there's nothing else worth marking right here. So the April open, the Q2 open is fairly material, mainly because you do have a swing failure pattern beneath you around 45.1. But if you are losing this open, there's really a lot of blank space between here and the low of the range. So we do need to be aware of targets beneath us. Obviously, we have those targets based on volume, but we are going to go ahead and pull volume range based on what we know. So what we do know is we have this range here, and we had this range here. Okay, so we already know that this is our NPOC. Does that coincide with any time frames for any naked points of control? We did just close the quarterly, so we are going to look at the quarterly range first. We're just going to stay organized, and we're going to go a high time frame to a low time frame. Right? So Q1 was closed right here, and we can see that we do have a nice quarterly range and a nice quarterly nice quarterly NPOC, which I did adjust slightly so that it matches ATS. So we know straight away that we need to hold on to 44,783. So just keep that number in mind. We did close March as well. March has its own NPOC. And we have a weekly NPOC from 2 weeks ago right here. So these are the levels that matter most, right? So there are NPOCs, there are ranges. 44,783, again, key level, or 44.7 in this case. Key. Go down to the hourly here, take a peek. I like to revert back just to make sure that everything is lining up. We have nice respect for support. Okay, so this is support. Now flipped into resistance. We have an SR flip, and we have a potential channel. We have volume targets beneath us. We do have a volume target above us. So if you guys recall, this is just going to come down to you knowing the chart. You have an NPOC above you in December that needs to be on your chart right here. And so we do need to review December's monthly chart. And December looks like so. Let's go to the 4 hour, and we'll get rid of this channel for just a second. So this is December, and what you can see is the December value area low. Well, I guess I don't need to do that, go that whole route. I can just do this. We'll extend it to the right. You can see that we are kind of, for lack of a better term, fucking around with the December value area low, which is going to coincide quite nicely with our Q2 open or April open. So we know right away that the monthly open and the quarterly open is going to be probably, for support, the most important area on the chart as of today. If we lose this level, or this little zone, I guess I should say, between 45,868 and 45,509, the obvious conclusion is we're going to probably rotate down. We now need to look at other ranges and determine if they line up with the targets that we've set up for ourselves in terms of levels, and kind of work from there, and then we'll add fibs in. Let me make sure there's no questions before I get too far into this. Awesome. Great. It seems like everybody's probably keeping up then, which is good. So we are at support. That means obviously we're not trying to short right here. We're looking for shorts up in this region through the 47,707 key level, right? And we know that if we resolve this to the upside, that the immediate target is going to be $49,039. It's a very interesting sound that keeps coming through. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but anyway, let's take a look at January, February, and March comparatively. Let's take a look, since we have this data readily available to us. Let's now compare range data. And I do see that we have some immediate support here, but in reality, we bypassed February's value area high for the point of control right here. Very nice. Also the value area high of March. So if we lose this, one would expect that, unless there's a swing failure pattern that occurs at $45,193 or 45.2, we would expect to see lower prices. One would expect to re-challenge these lows, and if lost, the immediate target is going to be this weekly NPOC. But if we're looking at this from a monthly standpoint, not a weekly NPOC standpoint, so we'll get rid of this weekly NPOC just to get it off the chart. If we're looking at this solely from a monthly and high time frame standpoint, the next logical support, while 43.8 is there, is technically we're looking all the way back to January's point of control here, which will coincide with the Q1 point of control right here, right at $41,750. Okay, so we know that on a monthly standpoint, if we have flipped the April open into resistance, that's what the requirement here is. You've got a very low volume here. We did try to establish that volume very nicely here back in February. And there is a nice little volume node here in terms of March. So we would come back and challenge these lows. This would be the next important support, somewhere right around 44,000 even. If 44,000 even is lost, then, well, I think we do have a nice drop down to 42 to 41,750, a nice $250 box, according to this. Let's throw on that weekly range we were just discussing. because I know that we have this weekly POC here. And if you guys watch me go through the live chart build from Sunday, I come to the same conclusion that this is the area I'm most interested in, this little box, right? So we've got our quarterly POC here. We have our overall yearly point of control from 2021, or value area low, excuse me. We have our weekly NPOC here as well. And this is the January POC plus the EQ of February. So really nice level, quarter four low after we've already swung fail it. This would be it's an $1,100 window, and I hate giving that. This is the area I'm most interested in right now. And I did state that I would be really surprised if we didn't come down and at least tap this. From a Fibonacci level, if we turn these on, you can see that this also will coincide with a very nice idea of a 0.5 to golden pocket retrace. Okay, so I normally will never give a window this large of $1,100, but I am in this case because there's quite a bit of confluence down here. You can see we consolidated down here for 3 months, so this is a pretty good size range. That said, let's get rid of all these monthly charts. Let's look at the March. There you go. This is your March linear regression. Okay, so a really nice channel. And we'll get rid of the weekly here real quick. Really nice channel on it. You can see it would have us coming down to the bottom of the regression at the 0.5. Okay, so this is a regression that is finished, meaning that we're not adding to it any longer. This is done. This is a finalized regression. We do also have a finalized quarterly regression. So we're going to walk through that. And what you will notice on the quarterly regression is that we are at the top of that thing. So it's hard to tell with the monthly on, but we'll get rid of it, and we'll get rid of this. You can see it here. So let's make this more definitive so that you guys can see it better, because I have a feeling that you guys can't. So that is your regression. You can see that we've reached the top of the channel. This would be coming back to the EQ. All right, so the EQ is a natural target on something like an regression. For that, just like if we are going from the monthly top, we're now looking for the bottom if we lose the EQ. So we'd be looking for the bottom of the regression. Where's it come in at? Well, it comes in very nicely in this box, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for perfection. One thing we're going to get into is a more formal educational format. I'll redo a lot of the videos we have now, but I'll start including things like this is February's range expansion. You can see we hit the 1414 exactly. We'll start working that into some of our lessons. So for me, just looking at this, if we are breaking down, we now know that this is a target, and we know that we have our overall range. Again, coming back to the overall range here for the January lows, you can see exactly where our point of control is, right? If we were to come into the high time frame ATAS, where's our 2021 val, 41,850, again, right there. If we were to back this up a little bit, which I like to do, and start pulling ranges from different spots just to see what's going on. Again, right here, there's just a lot to say that this is a very important level. Okay, so this is all in the video from yesterday if you guys want to see me how I do this. And then again, this 47K level, I cannot emphasize 47,707 enough. I tried to in the video, and I just don't think it did me any justice. But again, 47,707, just such an important level. Overall point of control. To me, this is where this range ended, so that's why I use that. And if we include all of the data here, so all of the data right here. Okay, so again, very, very important that we get above 47,707. If we're above 47,707, you guys know my opinions. I think that we are going to see more than likely 58,822 over time. 56,944 is the technical target for me, though. I just don't see a world in which we don't backtest this first. If this box is lost and we lose 41,274, where do we go? The most likely progression is probably down to the March NPOC here. So again, we come back to March. at 39,122. And this is stuff we can cover in a later video because there's a lot of information to take in, to be honest with you guys. If this box is lost, if then that, right? So, I mean, that's something we can talk about later, but I think this is the most likely place for now that we should be discussing. We had our quarterly open, quarterly close. Let's look at our quarterly ranges just real fast before I move on. Yeah, there's your quarterly NPOC. Again, lining up 44,750. If you guys watched yesterday's video, I did put in some new levels. 44,800 was the level. So 44,800 for me. If I was looking for just absolute confirmation, this is the level that you're going to lose. That will basically concede the $2,000+ move down into this box, in my opinion. So just know that. If we are looking at this from, again, the high time frames only, we already know that the April open is super important and the March open is super important. If we are looking at it from strictly the doomsday chart, right? So we know we have our doom chart up here where we are looking for the S line. These were our major point of controls for 2021. You can see that we are flirting with 45,900. And again, this was the level to give up. So if we're looking for confirmations of a pullback, guys, what are we looking for, right? So if we're living above these levels, what do we do? It's good. If we're living below these levels, where do we go? Down. And if we are going down, where should we be looking to anytime that we enter an old range? So simple as that. If we enter an old range, where should we be looking to? The point of control. Okay, so that's why I keep coming back to this level, that these are the areas of interest. Another thing to note, it was noted in the video from yesterday, this is also going to be your anchored VWAP from your all-time high. Okay, so you've got a lot here. There's just a lot here to say that this is resistance. We have our annual pivot. We have our time point of control. We have our regular point of control. We should be looking at this as if we are to lose 44,800 essentially, we are looking for probably $41,750 to $42,000, give or take. Anything below that, and we go to the bottom of the range with the March NPOC at 39,122. We can clean up this Fibonacci just a little bit. We've got a very nice fib set here from the breakout, right? So this has been a very well-respected set. You can see the 382 is here. The .133 is very well-respected, the .25, meaning that the point of control and the golden pocket are lining up quite nicely. And we could easily see if we have any kind of fib confluence from high to low, on the pull there. And we'll just extend those over. And we will make these a different format. That way they're easier to find. Obviously, your overall golden pocket is the range low, so that's a big area to have marked. If you guys recall, that is your monthly level that we talked about between 38,467.50 and 37,700. That was the level we had on our chart. That's also the value area low. And I will be upfront with you guys. If price came all the way back down to this level, technically, this is still bullish market structure. We just can no longer call this an ascending triangle. That's all. You would have to look at this like so. At that point, you'd have to say this. You have to say something like this at that point is the most probable scenario, right? We'd have to look at it like that. We'll get to that when we get to that. But we have broken our time structure. So last time we did that, we got a pretty decent sized pullback. The question is where are we going? And in my opinion, this is the first area that we are going. This pullback was somewhat expected. We do have major fib time coming in on the 10th, also the 11th and the 13th. So I'm giving you guys a 3-day window, which is April 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. I guess that's technically 4 days, but 3-day window there, 10th to 13th of April, major fib time. It does coincide with the idea that we did hit a major time pivot as well on the 28th. Yeah, there we go. This is the pull I want. So these are the levels I want. I do want these. Yeah, 42,923 is a great level. 41,750, nice level with this golden pocket here. and this golden pocket at the March in POC with, yeah, that's what we want. Okay. So I'm very happy with how we're looking at things. I do think that there's a pretty good chance that if we break 45.9, we will challenge into, again, the Q2 open, big level to have on the chart. And I will clean this up and post like free time frame charts. But right now, again, I do favor pullback. Just like I said yesterday, I favor pullback. I favor seeing this area again. I just don't see why we wouldn't see it. I think everyone is looking for us to move higher still. I see a lot of people calling for 55K now. I see a lot of people also saying that this is a fake out and we could go lower. I actually don't think that's far off. That yearly pivot, if we go out to the BLX chart again, guys, and this isn't to scare anyone, but this yearly pivot is very, very important. I say this every single week, and I know you guys are tired of hearing it, but the yearly pivot truly is, even for just a pivot, this is the most important level on the chart in most years, outside of maybe the yearly open, So you can see why right here. You're above it, good. Below it, bad. So if we break back above 47.7, what do we assume? Well, we're assuming the top of the range. We're assuming $58,000, maybe higher. If we don't break above it, well, we're assuming a back test into the old range, right? So we need to see price consolidating, holding support here, $44,800. It realistically is the technical line in the sand because it is just the volume range from a structure range standpoint here, and also the quarterly standpoint. I should state that this is your quarterly range high, if I recall. This is going to be the most important level on the chart. Yeah, $44,800, basically, give or take a few bucks. This is the level you need to hold if we come down here. All right, and that will begin. We will see that move, in my opinion, if we lose this level here. So let's get rid of our doom chart now, and we'll put the most important levels back on the chart. And to me, this is probably it right here. This is it. We do have a weekly level there. Where is my other weekly at? Right there. Nope. That's still a pretty important level, though. And I'm going to get rid of those. Huh. I really thought I had this on the... Am I missing a level? So there it is. This is how I would have my chart set up for now. Just keeping it as simple as possible. Just knowing that this is where everything is, and this actually is different on the daily. Okay, there we go. This is how I'd have my chart set up, looking for these levels. If we lose the April open, we'll challenge into 44.8, which you could put on your chart as such. Again, this is the value area high, right? 44,800, 45,509, 46,195. After that, we're looking up to 47,707 and 49,000. Anything above that, and we have levels above us that we need to discuss. Obviously, like we can't just talk about downside only because that would be pretty naive to do. Where did I put my untapped weeklies at? There's no way I got rid of it. 50,776 is the level, if I recall. There we go. Right here. And then we have an untapped pivot, if you guys recall, at the Q1. Well, that's an untapped Q2. Technically, this is a Q2 level. I need to change the name on that. I don't know if anyone else does this where they mislabel these pivots constantly, but I do. I get the time frames mixed up occasionally in my head, so Apologies in advance, but this is the quarter 2 pivot. And that does mean that the quarter 1 is right here, which would be appropriate labeled. So quarter 1 is here up at 52,000. All right, that is not the right one. There we go. 52,217. These are the levels I would have on my chart for now. You guys can take a screenshot of that and I would add them there. These are the ones that are going to play the best. They are also going to be the most material in the terms of high time frame, meaning these levels actually carry some bit of weight and consequence in that if we lose 45,509, even though it's only a $700 drop, this $44,800 level is very material. And if we're holding this as resistance, it puts pressure onto this level, which does bring us into this region. We'll call it 42,206 because it's in the middle here. This is the quarter 2 key level that just, or pivot that just generated. But it does come in at a naked point of control from quarter 1. There is a weekly naked point of control here, along with a March naked point of control here. There's just so much saying that we would come back to these levels. If we are to lose this and rotate the range, then again, this is no longer looking at this as an ascending triangle at that point. And I would probably scrap that idea altogether. And let me delete this range just real quick. And I would look at something like this. And I do prefer this angle. No, it would be, I would prefer to go from the bottom actually. It's just better respected. A little bit more respect with the EQ. Yeah, I would look at this as the likely channel to be playing. And if this breaks down, like that would also imply we're breaking below our monthly level here. And again, the overall range low, right? So overall range low does come in right in this region. Okay, so again, this is right here. Or if we just turn this on here, you can see it. That would imply that if we break down from this channel, we're breaking structure, we're losing this last higher low. And then, yeah, we probably are looking for those doomsday targets we talked about. That'd be pretty nasty, actually. But until that happens, until we start giving up these grounds, I have no reason to think that. I'm still bullish on the fact that overall, I think that we will retake 47,707 over time. I have no reason to think we won't. I just think that we do have some business down here, so to speak, before we move upwards. And if we can do that, I still think we can progress onwards and forwards to these targets up here, which again do rely on us hitting back at like 56,914 up in this region, or 944, excuse me. And then we do have our overall point of control there up at the highs at $57,000, right? So that is Bitcoin in a nutshell, guys. These are the levels. This is how I'm looking at the chart. It's really pretty neutral right here. We are still technically holding support. Needs to get back above the yearly open, live inside this range, so to speak. 45,900, which you can see was what we're floating around right now. Big level to give up. You can see that right here as these closures are all kind of consolidating on the level. So want to see us definitively living above the yearly open. If we're living above the yearly open, you guys know that's also a quarterly level that was just established. If you got to the 3-month chart, you'll see that. Yeah, I mean, the odds of us putting pressure back to the top side of this little range here are pretty good. And from there, we can then target 49,000, 50,776, and probably 52,217 over time. And I think that's just the most likely progression if that is the circumstance that occurs. But if we do start resolving this to the downside, $45,509.50, then yeah, I mean, I'm looking for this to probably come down to this box and challenge into this. So don't get chopped up playing this like sideways bullshit. Wait for us to pick a direction if you're unsure. That way you can manage the trade accordingly. If we are able to reclaim the yearly open and live above it, get a couple dailies, yeah, we're going to re-challenge this level probably and beyond. If we do not do that, then yeah, we're coming down to the old range, challenging this. And you can see that this is still a pretty low volume area. So if we do give up the point of control here, then yeah, I would expect to see 39,000 and maybe even these lower levels down here. But that's not something that we really need to discuss up until we get there. We know that if we pull our overall fibs, we have the golden pocket in this region as well. So that is kind of nice. But again, we can't get ahead of ourselves and think that this is going to be any more than a back test until proven otherwise. So while I do favor the idea of filling in some of these inefficiencies, we need certain things to happen. And you guys know how I feel about that. So if we lose this April open or the Q2 open here at 45,509, then yeah, my overall hypothesis is that, well, we probably have a move down into this $42,000 region here. And if that does not hold, then we'll probably see 30, 39 flat to maybe even 38,000. And technically, that's still a higher low. It's a really shitty way of saying that technically we can still make a higher low like this. And even though it's not pretty, and I mean, this is more hopium than anything, you could say this is a higher low. And even if you came all the way down here, this is technically still a higher low. You guys can see how that pans out, right? So we need to make sure that we keep our head on straight as this is happening. And trade the price action accordingly. So if we get strength, we need to be ready for strength. If we get weakness, well, we know what our targets are. So hopefully that's made sense. I feel like I've been droning on at you guys for a while, but I did want to do like a fresh chart build and go over everything, give my thoughts pretty clearly, and show you guys how I'm setting up my chart and why I'm setting it up that way, from everything from volume to horizontal levels to pivots. And just kind of orate my thoughts a little bit, because I have been fairly quiet for the last week, and I know we're coming into a zone of uncertainty for some people. For some traders, this is an uncertain area. Hopefully everybody gets that. Good?
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
All right.
All right. And those noises, I think, that you were talking about earlier, I think that was Max and I as we were entering.
I got you. I was wondering. I figured that was it. I was like, I bet somebody's entering the chat. I just didn't check.
Yeah. No, yeah. Hey, thanks for starting off, too. I was running behind a little bit, and I didn't realize that you actually started it up fully. So that was awesome, man. And yeah, great update. And the update from yesterday was spot on as well. For anybody that didn't get to see that, whether or not you actually sit through the whole build and the kind of music scenario, which I thought was a pretty good idea. At the end, he goes over his thoughts, which pretty much you just went through right here. But
what I would do is I just turn it on to like 1.5 times speed, guys, or 2 times speed if you can keep up, and just watch the charting and listen to the music real fast, or mute it and just watch it. And you'll see me go through everything, the progression of every single tool that's in the Academy, including stuff that's not in there. I do cover fib time a little bit. I show you guys like how I'm pulling fib times to get certain things like that. So you will see a little bit of that. We'll start introducing it slowly.
No, that was really unique. I really enjoyed it even. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and look at some alts now that we kind of have an idea of what we're looking at with Bitcoin. Let's see here. So I did just want to chime in with a couple of things on Bitcoin too. I mean, Magic's update is it's everything you need to know, obviously. Just something else as far as just something I pay attention to personally here. This is the 4-hour time chart, so this doesn't really hold too much weight, but I'm looking at this, the range that I kind of put up. It's pretty, clear and simple. But it's very basic in the same sense. So, like I said, Magic's charts has got way more in-depth, levels to be paying attention to, things of that nature. This is pretty broad. One thing that I noticed is that as we're coming into this range low, and this is that range from December, I think that we're looking at over here, is we're also coming into on the 4-hour time frame. We're coming on to this 55 EMA, which doesn't necessarily mean too much because we can give that up as far as that goes. But if you do take this out to the daily time frame, I brought this up a couple of weeks back, or I guess a week or so ago. I'm just kind of going to a clearer chart here. And just something, because I've noticed it across the board on a lot of other altcoins as well. And we had where the 20 crosses over the 55 on the EMAs, and mind you, this is super lagging. Then not the end all be all by any means. But you can see how as these crosses do occur, we get a pretty lengthy continuation in trend, whether it's a month, 2 months, could be a week, whatever the case may be. But we did have this bullish cross here, and then we basically came back and are, slightly testing that daily 20 EMA, which does sit at about $44,000, and the 55 lands right about 43. Which just, another thing that kind of adds to the confluence a little bit of what Magic is talking about near that 41 to 43K area, where I think it was it's not on this chart because this is another chart here, but the quarterly pivot, I think he was saying is like 43K or 41K. So yeah, that pullback towards that 1 to 3K, would be something to really pay attention for. Obviously, it's not set in stone, but we really, want to be anticipating. And essentially, that'd be about a 15% pullback in total, which would not be anything out of the ordinary for Bitcoin. Now, the reason that, once again, just to kind of put everything in a huge picture together here, is as Bitcoin came in and is, even right now getting a pullback from this major resistance level, a lot of the altcoins, very similar to when they were coming into range lows, on a quarterly basis, as Bitcoin was coming in a range low, a lot of the altcoins are coming in the range low. It's kind of like everything kind of bottomed out, so to speak, a couple weeks back. And now as we're seeing Bitcoin really struggling at this 47.7, we're starting to see not necessarily ETH. ETH's got probably another $100 here between here and the yearly open is the next major level I was looking at. They're pretty much that's about it. Bottom of this next area right here comes in at about $3,600 is pretty much where we topped out at. And this is the daily time frame here for ETH, which the next major targets to me would be the yearly open, quarterly key level. I've been looking for these areas. Same as Magic as well, I believe. And this is the quarterly, Q1 now, so January through March. So we'll start building out our next one. As you see here on the daily, we did have that bullish cross. But if we were to pull back to just these EMAs even, which at this point they, may end up lining up with this range high, just a nice pullback in general, be about 12-15% out of ETH, right? That would kind of imply that Bitcoin pulls back towards that 41, 42K area. Because generally what happens to Bitcoin, you get around the same with ETH and then pretty much double that out of the altcoins, right? So just kind of putting this idea all in motion here, right? I mean, things can change if Bitcoin flips at 47.7 and we just keep going higher. But one thing I did notice over the last few days is even when Bitcoin took that rejection the other day and ran it all the way back down to like 44, you notice that the altcoins did not take a beating, right? I think that the average altcoin was down less than, not less, but they were like 10% pullbacks, which is a little odd compared to just because everything really rallied like, 50, 60, 70% from the range lows. And then we have things like Luna and Solana. Luna's, making new all-time highs. You got Waves, you have Zilliqa. I'm going to take a look at Solana real quick because that was kind of another one to me that I was paying pretty good attention to it. If you notice, I've started to put up in the charts that, hey, this is coming into, yearly key level. This is coming into this. These altcoins are coming into these major resistance levels right as Bitcoin's, kind of losing some steam. So where is Solana? And if you watched my last Solana, like TikTok or something, I think I made here, I think it was here. It was one of these two levels right here where we had just broken up. And this is right about when Bitcoin was pulling back from 47K originally. Well, we got a small pullback out of Solana and, not much. Like I said, even on that pullback, it was like 8%. I'd really like to say this was the day. I can't, April 1st. So I think this was the day, when Bitcoin pulled back. It was like Thursday night last week. Bitcoin pulled back to like 44,000, and that was a big drop. That was like 8% from Bitcoin. Well, Solana only pulled back 8% too, right? So at this time, I was anticipating that pullback out of Bitcoin, which we got perfectly. But I was looking for more of a pretty drastic drawdown, right? Like if you're going to get a 9% pullback out of Bitcoin, generally you get a 18, 20% pullback out of the altcoins, especially something that's been running. We didn't get that. So it's just something I'm paying attention to now too. And once again, you do have bullish crosses appearing on these are daily time frames for everything I'm looking at right now. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to still see a pullback because this uptrend started here, So if we get this pullback out of Bitcoin back down to that, once again, not stating that that's the end all be all situation, but it lines up pretty well with what the altcoins are kind of saying to me, because I do still think at this point, especially, we ran up. Now we've hit the yearly key level for Solana, right? I mean, how beautiful is that? And we got a new weekly pivot just down here about 128, which isn't, major. But if Bitcoin, gets that pullback later on this week or a couple days, whatever the case may be, and we do actually pull it back, down towards this region, retest these EMAs, say it's a couple days from now, we're in this general region. That'll make sense, right? To see all the altcoins kind of get these pullbacks. You'd still be up from the low, but people are FOMOing into the top. It just is an endless cycle where nobody buys it here. Everybody's going to buy it up here in these regions, and gets really shooken up when that pullback happens. And not because the altcoins get pulled back, but it's because Bitcoin, right? Everybody fears that Bitcoin will go lower. So this is why we bring these updates to your attention ahead of time, so you have an idea of what to anticipate when certain, just like Magic said, this is all about if this, then that, right? And that is really what it is. Like, we can have a really good idea of what could happen. Obviously, nobody knows what will happen, but at the moment, like as soon as I saw that update out of Magic yesterday, or I saw it actually today, but I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Once again, not to put it all into, all the eggs in one basket and just be like, oh, we're definitely going to see 41K or whatever. But just as always, just a time to pay attention here, right? And on the contrary, right, if we get that pull, that push up out of Bitcoin, and we just break 47.7, well, then we're going to be hitting all these next targets, right? We got the yearly opens, you got, for ETH, you got that NPOC at 4K. Just very similar to what Magic was showing, though. We have, times coming, like it kind of just lines up that, maybe if we're going to get a pullback, it would be now, for maybe a couple days. And then we start turning around and kind of run it up towards the middle of this month and into May, right? Because everybody thinks that April is going to be a great month and that May is going to be the sell in May and walk away type deal. And that's just something that, I don't know, regardless of how it goes, we're going to, have our plan of action as we go, and we're going to take it day by day, but just something to be aware of, right? So, okay. So Solana I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to say too, right? And then the same deal. You flip this yearly key level, well, then we're looking up, and we know that, right? Like that's just, that just is what it is. We do have a bullish cross coming in on almost, actually, I think every altcoin. I know Magic doesn't, utilize the, he might use EMAs. I don't know. I know he doesn't use SMAs. I don't really either. But in the EMAs, I really only look for on this daily time frame specifically. And this is so this is the total market with Bitcoin. I want to show you guys something actually pretty interesting here. So total market, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins, I look at this, right? You got May of last year, bearish cross, granted lagging, right? Happens literally right before this huge drawdown. So obviously you'd be late to the party in that situation. Leads to whatever, 100 days right here. Bullish cross right here leads to about 90 days up. Bearish cross leads to 120 days down. Bullish cross right here. And this for the entire market. Once again, not the end all be all, no guarantee. This could totally just, get dumped right out of. But just something as far as like when we possibly get a pullback from here, right? See that 41K come in, or 42 or 4, whatever the case may be. We peak our heads below 44 and really get everybody, worked up. Just realize that we had a really nice rally out of here. You could always just be coming back, retesting some lows. Retesting some support and continue onward from here. Total 2, this is the altcoins only. And this is Q4's range of last year. And once again, it's whether or not you can utilize this information with the range data, how we do it or not. It's just interesting, right? Because this is I don't even know which, this isn't just pulling from one chart. This is pulling from one exchange. This is pulling by everything. But just an interesting feature here is that, once again, altcoins only. You got bullish cross coming in. This was our Q1 range right here. We obviously just broke it, and we're kind of stuck in between two ranges here. Very possible, right, for all the altcoins as a whole, get this pullback right here, because I think if I look at this, And once again, this is like kind of almost like a speculative idea here because I don't even know where this information is getting pulled from. But we have a daily pivot, yeah, or no, this might be, what am I looking at here? Weekly. So an untapped weekly pivot right here, right down, in that area, which would essentially just come back down, retest this previous box, come back down to these EMAs for the entire altcoin market as a whole. And then actually, you could possibly see this launch into this next range right here. And that would take us up back to like 1.5 trillion, blah, blah, blah. And this is for altcoins only. So just once again, just an idea here that also slightly aligns with Bitcoin getting a pullback, altcoins getting a pullback, right? And then we move on from there. The other thing to note in kind of all this confluence idea here, without just kind of going through all the altcoins and realizing that they're all coming into major resistance levels, is looking at something I haven't looked at in quite a while either, is this Bitcoin dominance chart, right? So Bitcoin dominance has the same thing. I was looking at it with some of the range data here, but regardless, unlike everything else in the market, dominance is about to, if it already hasn't, it already got a bearish cross, right? So we want this chart to go down. So this is good over time for altcoins. And this is more than likely to me why the reason why we have not seen a bad pullback out of altcoins, because as Bitcoin's been pulling back, the dominance has been coming down. So generally, when you see that happening, the altcoins don't take as bad of a beating. Now, if this starts pushing higher, which I think it will, just short term, right? Now, looking at this little bearish cross here, if we get quite the vice versa here, and you get this retest, come up and tag these EMAs, and then continue lower, this push up here out of dominance would be 2 or 3%, which is pretty big, right? That'll be pretty rough on the altcoins. A bounce out of dominance like that is going to probably drop altcoins 10, 20%. So once again, leading into this idea of, just be on the lookout for some of these right now. Maybe it's not the best idea to be jumping into these altcoins that are just ran up 200, 300, 400%. Not that it ever is a good idea, but just be, might be a time to be a little patient right now. And just kind of like Magic said, just wait to see which direction we go. There's going to be some interim daily plays. And, even if Bitcoin chills out for 3 days before it actually makes another move, like last week where we had that rally up on Sunday night, and then we didn't really have another move till Thursday, could be very well like that. And if Bitcoin travels sideways, well, the altcoins might have a couple days here, but something to be aware of here is dominance is getting oversold on a daily time frame, which not that that's, a guarantee we're just going to turn around here, but just something to note, right? Coming out of here could very well get a little bounce on dominance. Up is bad for altcoins, right? You want this to go down. Overall, this is good because this will probably come up, tag this EMA, and then continue lower, right? But just another idea here that we could be having a pretty good pullback on the board here, within the next couple of days here. So just something to be aware of, be prepared for, whether you're going to act on that or whether that just means, if you open up your portfolio in 3 days and you see some red, just be aware that that's anticipated. All that changes when Bitcoin pumps through and, flips this, this yearly key level. Right. So that's kind of the gist. And with the other altcoins I wanted to take a look at real quick, just another good example here is that this is probably actually a bad example. I was looking at that on a different chart. CRV is a coin that we were looking at for weeks. This is like dating back 3 or 4 weeks. Not that it's a huge coin. It's like a mid cap, available on Coinbase. Looked at it right here with everybody. Posted in the group right as we were falling into this range low and this falling wedge. So that was basically around middle of March here. And then we actually covered this one live when we were covering a couple other trade ideas. One of them was Oceans that night, this and that. The CRV was coming down to this smaller falling wedge. At the time, this was the new generated weekly pivot, came back down to that perfectly and basically took off from there. And what we targeted, what I really liked about this chart from the get-go, is that it had a massive range, right? So from low to high for, a mid-cap coin chilling on Coinbase, you're talking about 145%, which, not to be expected overnight. This is an overtime ordeal. And since the 21st of March, so was that 2 weeks at this point, You know, the POC was our major target. From there, realistically, you know, give the falling wedge target would put you around somewhere like up here, maybe even you can consider right here about 329. But you know, what will happen, in my opinion, is something like this, right? Where you might see this flip up here, finally hit that target, get that pullback, hold the POC, and then run it up from there. Once you actually get above, this yearly key level comes into play, and then the range high. Obviously, if we get a pullback in the market, you know, it's going to delay this coin from, you know, continuing onward. Do also realize that Bitcoin pulling back doesn't always mean, you know, everything's just going to crash and then not move, right? So you still have some time here where, you know, we could see even a lot of these other coins kind of come to finish up these moves next 2 days, next 3 days, or maybe even the rest of this week, and then we get a pullback in the market. So just like Magic says, not to fear anybody, it's just true and blue, like prepare for, you know, what the probable thing is at this point. When we're at the lows on everything, probability we're going up, right? When we're coming into massive resistances across the board, well, more probable that we're going to see some downside for a minute. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, right? We're coming up to, you know, major point of control. This is for the whole quarter of this year so far. And but same deal, you flip that and we're looking up. Probably not the most ideal, you know, timing to just go and enter this, but from that low to the POC, a nice 60% run. And then just from our, you know, our breakout we were looking at 2 weeks ago, 45%. Can't be mad at that. Alice was another one I think we were looking at. Maybe it was just a good example. Yeah, Alice here, right, was one just as many 2 weeks ago, right at the range low, ran it to the range high, right, a nice 60% move. Same deal here. I mean, I got to update some levels here, but you break. Oh no, I don't actually. Maybe I have them. Well, got a couple of quarterlies, but you know, you break this range high here, and obviously we'll probably be entering back into this range up in this area. You got quarterly key levels and so on. But just kind of a time, you know, where you don't really want to be buying something at the you know, these range highs are major resistances, just as the supports, major supports of these range lows. So, you know, this would be your buy area. This would be, you know, a pretty decent area to consider selling, or just realize that, you know, you're going to see a pullback around here. Bitcoin flips at 47K. Well, then we're probably going to flip this range high and continue upward, right, for pretty much everything. So it's really a time to be paying attention to BTC. You know, it's always time to be paying attention to BTC. But let's see, Luna is a fun one, because that's something that's pushing into new all-time highs. And I wouldn't imagine if we I'm so bad at talking and trying to find these. If we am I looking right at it? Luna. If we do get a pullback out of Bitcoin or the market, right, I wouldn't imagine we're going to see the breach of this previous all-time high. This would probably come back in as support. That's just, you know, sheer speculation at this point. But another kind of gauge here, right, where like you could see if we got a couple more good days in us where, you know, Bitcoin doesn't come through and just drop from here, you still could have some good moves here for the altcoins. And generally speaking, right before a pullback in Bitcoin, you get the most explosive moves out of the altcoins, right? So like right when everybody's really worried about Bitcoin, like right now, for example, we're talking about all these pullbacks, this and that, you know, many would probably, you know, take, you know, some of their altcoins out of the market, this and that. And then you get that quick 20-30% move across the board in altcoins. Not saying that's going to happen, but that's just something that is, you know, even think back to November, right? Right before the whole market crashed, what was going on? Every altcoin was going crazy. Right before our pullback in September last year, right? What was going on? All the altcoins were going crazy. And it's the most volatile right before the crash. So just something to kind of keep in mind. And I say crash, it's not, you know, like we're talking about a normal correction, but it will, you know, shake some people up. So we're just really, really trying to prepare for everybody. Anyways, Luna, all-time high, came back down. Obviously, we lost this exact area, but, you know, get the idea here. It'd be a retest previous all-time high. We've been running it up from there. You've got a little bull flag kind of formulating here, right? So if we were to just have some fun with that, guess where that bull flag levels you up to? Well, basically our last target up here at about 130. That is the 272, I think, or the 2618 that I measured out. around there, around 130 Luna. That's where I imagine we, regardless between these next three here, this is a pretty big run up here, even for Luna the last few days, right? About 30%. This is going to put you at 37. That's going to be at 40 overall. That's going to be over 100% in the last few weeks. But just something to kind of pay attention to here, right? And then if we were to get about a 20% pullback, that would put us right back to that previous all-time high. So 20% would be what I imagine comes across the board for all altcoins if Bitcoin comes back to that 41. And this is just, once again, just an idea here. I don't imagine we'd come back down below this all-time high if we get a pullback here. So it kind of leads me to assume we may see about this 130 level for Luna over the next couple of days, then get that pullback. So just once again, I wouldn't be jumping into Luna at this point if you haven't. Right, it's only about a 14-15% opportunity, and we are on, the devil's doorstep, so to speak, with Bitcoin. So once again, not a huge crash that would impede from this, but you don't want to be coming into something and 20% drops right off from under you. But yeah, that'd be Luna for anybody holding. Right, we've been looking at these targets for a while now, and Solana, we've been through that. ZIL was one that had a lot of attention at the end of the week, or I guess throughout the week last week, and huge range also. This was a month. This was like a Jasmy range, actually, 207%. This is like Q3 of last year, I think. Yeah, Q3, Q2 maybe. Yep, Q2 last year. That's where I'm pulling this from. Point of control is here, yearly key level, 3-month level came in there, range high, range low, or monthly open for the month of March or February, one of the two. Obviously, there's more levels in between. These were the only ones that really mattered, in my opinion. And then from here, I mean, you're, running a risk. I mean, this is a pretty good pullback as it is. Let's see, from bottom to high here. You got overall move, golden pocket comes right back in at the point of control, right? So that's probably where I imagine we'd come down to, assuming that Bitcoin does take that drop lower. If you're pulling from here, well, obviously you're looking at a golden pocket right now. And, this, to me, I would imagine we're going to see something like we saw with OGN, with, there's another one I think I was looking at recently. IOST is in a similar position where you had this huge run up, came back down to the golden pocket. And then essentially what it did, so from here, now from the high to the low here, the golden pocket really is right here, which is a range high. And I'll show you this example on OGN here in a second. But, if we get a little pop out of the altcoins here for a minute, you might see ZIL actually take that run back at this all-time or the range high, catch that rejection from there, and then come back down to this POC on a Bitcoin pullback. So just going to kind of pay attention for there. Once again, I wouldn't be entering some of these at this point. If you're looking at DCA and the ZIL, obviously it's down, from what it was the other day, about 35%. Just came up and tagged the weekly pivot. You do have that golden pocket of this smaller run up here right there. And then, like I said, that golden pocket is of this little higher move here would be the range high. So not unheard of to come back, take out that range high one last time, and then draw it down to this point of control and then go from there. Just an idea there. And I'll show you what I mean by that for OGN. So this is the thing, you make these, you'll see a time frame where you want to have where I put out a ton of setups, right? There's just a time frame where you prepare for, the next big moves. The moves occur, it takes some time to unfold, and then essentially you kind of want to hedge your bets for the next move, right? And it takes some time you basically have these run ups, get the run down, get the run up again. It's just, you just rack it and roll it again. All right. So let's see what I'm talking about right here. So OGN, I think at this point right here, I was looking at it. And if you're pulling from this lip right here, right, you got the golden pocket of this move, just very similar to ZIL, right? So I'm pulling it from that midway, if you want to look at it like that. Not the entire move here. So realistically, all of this, you could even come all the way back down to this level here and just the equivalent for ZIL before you actually get that real golden pocket pullback. That gold pocket for ZIL lines up with that point of control we were just talking about. But notice where we bounced up to from here. Basically ran it down, golden pocket. Well, guess where we ran it up to right here? From high to the golden pocket low, right to the golden pocket. So, right, literally right to it. Ran it up, ran it down. We get a pullback out of Bitcoin right now. We're probably going to come back down, retest this previous range high once again, which is the give or take, right? The overall golden pocket in this region, but realistically, I'd be looking for that range high. OGN is one, does have a lot of OGN and IOST, I think, have some news coming up, which whatever, if that means anything or not, but they have had some massive pumps. So, not necessarily the thing you want to chase, right? Like this could definitely see higher highs. Obviously, we could just turn around from here. Maybe this rounds out, has a little rounded bottom. But just, this is something that's rallied really hard, and 210, 220%, still up 120%, and really hasn't pulled back to anything substantial, right? Even though that this has pulled, 32%, you're talking about coming back down to like the 382. You haven't pulled it back to the 0.5. You haven't pulled it back to the golden pocket. You haven't pulled it back to the 786. So just keep those in mind when you're looking at some of these that have rallied really, really hard. All right, going over an hour. I hope Max had enough time to drink his coffee and prepare us for some goodies. Yeah, so hope all that made sense. I feel like it perfectly aligned up with what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Obviously, like I said, things change, just like Magic said as well, right? We literally have two scenarios right now. We're just waiting for the direction to get chosen. And yeah, so depending on your strategy, have your risk in place for both measures, I suppose. And from here, turn it over to the old to my brother. He might have to leave and come back. Max? Gonna give him a second there. Would you have anything to add to that, Magic, before we get Max on here? You're muted if you're saying anything.
Anyway, if you ever struggle with
Hello, Mrs. Max.
Hello, guys. If you can hear my door, I've got a door open and there's a road outside. So if that's live, you can hear it. And my dog is now barking.
Oh, man, you're a hot mess, man. I hope you had enough time to get ready.
I've been sat in, I was like, oh no, I'm on. Okay, so starting back from the 31st, this is where our last stream was that we had. I just want to go over this little bit of price action here because I know that we talked about it a bit in the group, and then I'm going to run through price action, talk about a few CVD divergence trades that we could have gone for, because there's been quite a few in this little range, and I also have a proud moment. Some of Twin telling people there's a big wick divergence and he's probably saved some people some money, hopefully. So yeah, I was very pleased with Twin for doing that in my absence over the weekend. But yeah, starting up here. So what we saw here, I'm actually going to go to a 5-minute time frame and find it again. Let's go back. Need to wait for the data to load in. So as you saw here, we had a bit of fun the market makers had anyway. So We went above. We had a nearly 50 million negative delta in this little candle here. And it was on massively decreasing open interest. So what is that? Well, we know, move my mic forward so if you can hear me a bit better now. So what do we know when we have a huge move on the open interest with negative delta? Well, that's longs clearly closing out of the market. And then you had a huge amount of longs open at market. You had 43 million positive delta with 39 million open interest. The market makers at this point, in my opinion, were rubbing their hands together. Someone's just opened a trade, a huge trade, really in a place where if you were smart with your money, you would never open a long up there. And they immediately closed out more of their trade, forced him underwater. And then we got a huge sell-off as this guy just got completely punished for his stupidity. And then, from there, it's kind of just set the tone that we've kept going down. So trades that I wanted to talk about, I believe if we go down a bit further, we actually had some bullish divergence. I'm on the 5 minute now. So let me pop back to the 15. Let's keep going. Okay, there. So where do we have some bullish divergence? So you had one here. So you could have entered, this is the divergence area here. You've had a huge amount of shorts come into the market and immediately put underwater. You've got the divergence, you've spotted it. You've got your stop loss and stop loss going here. Where could you have entered? Well, you've got 1, 2, 3 imbalances there. And, you could also have entered on the stacked imbalances here because, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacked imbalances there. If you entered there, you may have been panicked somewhat as you've been put underwater for an hour or two. But, your stop loss is here. You don't panic when you're underwater. You stick to your plan. And in the end, you would have been a happy trader as the price pumped up and you'd have been able to take profits. Well, I'm certain you would have been able to take profits in a $500 move. Yeah, $500-$600. If you're not taking profits when you're day trading after that type of move, in my opinion, you should be. But that was one trade there you could have taken with a divergence. We had a wick here, which caused some divergence here. But again, this wasn't the one that Twin called out, or he may have done. But no, I didn't see anyone call this out. So whether they weren't trading at this time or anything, you had a divergence here. And if anyone did open a trade here with a stop loss here, they would have been taken out, as I see some traders were here when this big candle occurred. And the divergence that I saw Twin actually call out for being a big wick divergence, which hats off to him, great call, he saved some people some money, was this one here. I can't remember who it was that called it out, but you had a big candle here. And normally when you're looking at CVD divergence, it's not these type of candles that you want to be trading off. You want to be following the trades where there's liquidity leading into it. And this one, for me, it's not really a trade that you'd want to take. And you would have lost, because you put your stop loss below the low. You were taken out, in my opinion, before you could have really taken any profits. I mean, it's where you'd entered, because it was this candle here that you'd gone into. So wherever you entered, it's like, well, where do you take profits? If you've entered after a few of these imbalances, or when the candle's closed, which is like even safer option, you've bought the high, which isn't ideal, and you would have been taken out. Other divergences to note, because I believe there was another one somewhere. There's a little one here. So you could have had this in confluence with the VWAP here. So you've had, we've been trading down, bounced off the VWAP. There's your touch number 1. So it's quite a close one, but you know how you can really figure out exactly where this line is? It's 187 negative million down here. You can see it down here. And then if I find where the divergence is, it's 189 down here. So it's only a minor one with 2 million, but it is still a divergence and it does still offer you a trade. Now, what one could have thought is, okay, we've seen this divergence here. And as you come down, you could maybe have got a better entry somewhere down here along the VWAP. And I would have still kept my stop loss there. you've seen the divergence. Yes, you've started to bounce away, but your stop loss, the trade's still the same. The plan's still the same. Stop loss there, and then you definitely have an area to take profits on that little rise there. Now, where we are right now, it's a bit of a difficult one. So you've been one time frame and going down. It's been a very sustained move for the last, what time is it now? It's 7 a.m. for me. For the last 5 or so hours, it's been a very sustained move. You've not really had any pullback until what we've got now. In my opinion, it's for the day traders, the key levels are the day open in the immediate, obviously, the day open and the monthly open. Lose the monthly open, then I would probably be saying, to Magic's levels to the downside. It would also get rid of this bullish divergence that we've got, because, if we've got a bullish divergence here, you've got entries, you've got your imbalances occurring, you've got your stop loss going just probably, when you've got a wick like this, it is a big wick, but I would also take into the fact that you've got the monthly open here. I'd probably put it somewhere down here if I was taking a trade here. I mean, I've just been watching this stream, so I've not been trading, but this would be my area for putting a stop loss if I was taking a trade here. You never know, I might jump in one after the stream. We'll have to see what occurs here. But for now, I would say the day open and the monthly open are key in my opinion. Jumping over to the TPO, which we actually have a video coming out today, I believe. So now I could talk to you a bit more openly about this chart, because I'm going to release this in the group today. You're going to have the video out today. Now, some of the things that we discuss in there's not actually too much to say in regards to, the naked point of controls. You did have a point of control here from this day, which we rejected from on, I believe that was Saturday the 2nd. I believe the Saturday was the 2nd, which you could have gotten a trade from. So that was one trade that you could have taken with either the TPO point of control, which again is discussed in the video, and the volume point of control. They actually lined up somewhat nicely. It gives you a little area there where, it's a box where you're thinking, okay, maybe I want to open a short in this area. And you do get a sell-off, a selling tail at this point, which gives you more confidence in your short. One of the things I discuss in the video is the initial balance, which is the first hour of trading of any day, okay? Normally, when you have an initial balance, and I go over this in the video in depth, but normally, a lot of days when you have a wide imbalance like this, an initial balance, which is the first hour of trading, when you have a wide one like this, normally you trade within it. Now you can see here, okay, we traded within it. When you have a small one, you normally have a bit more volatile day. So let's expand this box here. You can see we did have quite some big moves yesterday. Today, we've actually got a bigger imbalance. So I would actually suspect that we do range between the two levels that I mentioned earlier, the day open and the monthly open. I actually do suspect that we range at least until New York open. I don't think really there's going to be too much going on until then, but we have got a big selling tail so far today, right up to that day open. So whether we start to attack that selling tail a bit more and get to that day open, I don't know. I would like to see a range between the monthly open and the open, but you don't always get what you want. But other than that, I actually haven't got anything else to say. Just things to keep in your mind. Just a quick summary, I guess. The bullish CVD divergence that you have now, because there's clearly been a lot of shorts enter at market here. You've had a huge sell-off of longs at market, because you can tell the minus 37 there with the negative delta. Okay, so huge sell-off of longs. You have had some trapped underwater longs, but you've had here 12 million longs jump in, another 21 million shorts. I said longs there. 12 million shorts open at market, 21 million open here, and you've had quite a number, and that's what's caused the divergence. So you certainly have the liquidity between here and this area here. And like I said, this is a somewhat of a big wick, but there's a few candles going into it. It's not a massive wick, so I would actually count this as a very valid divergence. But with the support of the month open here, just to make the trade maybe a bit safer, I'd probably put your stop loss below that. So in the initial, coming up the first few hours of the day, we do have a bullish divergence. That's what I would be kind of looking to trade, and that is the range I'm hoping for, to be honest with you. The day open and the monthly open, with the initial balance being as big as it is. Yeah, Adrian, the TPO template is going to come out later, and the video is, I would like to think it's pretty good. It's took a lot of time last week, and it's really, I've compacted everything that you need to know into, I think it's like 40 something minutes. So I was quite pleased with how short it is, but I do imagine there will be some questions because it's brief, but it touches on everything you need. But we also have a classroom, well, for me, tomorrow morning, but I think we're going to do the order flow classroom tonight at 10 p.m. EST. I think that's what's the crack is it not, CVO?
Yeah. So tomorrow for Eastern people, Eastern time.
Yeah.
But tomorrow for you, 7 a.m.
That's it. Yeah, I'll be. Oh no, it's 6 a.m. But yeah, all good. We'll smash that out.
Yeah, nice. No, good updates, gentlemen. And we'll see. And just really wanted to reiterate. I'm sure Magic will, if he hasn't already, put up like his updates just in like a text format, just so you kind of have it to go back on. And for anybody that wasn't able to watch the video or whatever, but I'll put a couple of things in there too, just to kind of make sure everybody's aware of like the ideas in place at the moment. But yeah, just kind of going off of, we're just literally waiting to see what direction this thing goes at the moment. Short term, we could still, really bounce around in this area. Just don't be surprised if we do come through and get that full move down towards that 43, 44, 41 area. Like I said, for me, I'm looking at the altcoins too, and they kind of showcase a decent little 10-20% pullback in the books coming their way as well. So it just makes sense for that to kind of go down over the next few days, maybe throughout this week or something. This week is also like Bitcoin conference or something like that, and everybody's anticipating Bitcoin to be like 50K. Which it could be, right? Like, so it's also, we're just kind of at that pivotal moment. So I hope all that made sense. Hope it wasn't confusing. Definitely really want to be, just really, once again, just showcase the if this happens, then this, like, just so you have that idea, right? So obviously at this exact moment, depending on where we are in the chart, technically, like Magic said, we're at support, right? So this is, not maybe the area where, as far as Bitcoin would go, where you'd want to be looking to short or be looking to get out in a sense. You really want to start looking for certain levels to be lost in that case. And then on the flip side of that, and looking at some of these altcoins, however, they are coming into major resistances. So just something to, once again, utilize with your strategy, depending on, if you're taking this information into your short-term trading ideas, or if it's, if you are a long-term holder, then just, be aware, hey, in next week or so, you might get a pullback. You might get a pullback till, for the next 10 days or so. But as Magic said too, all good roads kind of point to May. So it's interesting. We'll see how things play out. So thank you, Max, Magic. Hope everybody did enjoy this video. A little lengthy, but I think it was jam-packed full of information. Like I said, we'll try to put up a couple of text, versions of what we went over tonight. Do you have anything to add, Max, before I finish up?
Now I'm just looking at the initial balance as we're, I said, I think we're just going to be ranging in between that all day.
All right.
I'm excited for that because that's actually something for anyone that was in the Telegram group. We've been like tinkering around the idea of like initial balances and TPO and like talking about it and just telling you wait till you're older, basically. And so we're finally there. So for everyone that wanted to know months ago, you guys need to watch the videos. That's all I'll say. Watch the videos.
And honestly, some of the examples that I managed to find, when you're doing TPO, you're actually able to go back a month. But some of the examples, I was really able to find some good ones. We had some great examples of like the initial balance, single prints, buying tails, selling tails. There were some of the examples. I must say, they were literally handed to me on a plate with the last month of trading that we've had. And yeah, if you watch it, the examples, like I said, they're great. They really explain it. But I've said it is going to take a few watches, and I've said that in the video. It's going to take a few watches for you to understand it. And you really do have to take notes. I've noticed a lot of people that have watched the videos, maybe, they then come and ask me questions where I know that it's been in the videos. You have to take notes when you're watching this stuff. You can't trust your memory. Taking notes is key. And, I have a summary of every video I watch, or any book that I read. I always summarize it just so I've got the key points of what I need. And in short, it's like a one line on each little thing. And it really does help you remember it, so that when you do start to trade with it, you understand what's going on a bit better. So yeah, the initial balance, we've had some, it's been the examples that I've got in there are good. And yeah, I believe I explained the initial balance really well, I would like to say personally, but I can say that. But look here, okay, we'll give you one example here. So this is the first hour of trading here. Once you have this up on your sheet, look what we've come down to here. Come down, tested the initial balance, and we've bounced up. And that's why we've been ranging above all day. The initial balance, you open, come down, test it. Not the day open, this little green bar here, this little block, that's the day open. No, you come down and test the first hour of trading, and you bounce off.
You want to know a fun fact about the first hour of trading? 90%, well, it was 90%, but 90% of the time after the initial balance is set, once you back test one side of it, it actually rejects to the VWAP. So you have a day trade every single time, 90% of the time, or at least it was. We'll have to run back the statistics. If you guys notice my folders in my charts, I actually have a folder that has statistics in there. It says OB, but it's actually IB statistics, and it's going back to make sure that that's still relevant. So the first hour of trading, when you test either the top side or downside of it, you will actually reject back to the VWAP wherever it is. So sometimes that can be a lucrative trade depending on how far away the VWAP is and the position of that initial balance. So that'll be something we'll talk about in the future.
That one there was actually also the VWAP. So
Yeah.
you had two pieces of confluence there. Here, let's have a look. I mean, I guess you could say we tested it there somewhat. I'm giving it a little bit of leeway. And you touched the VWAP.
Yeah.
It's great. And yeah, you've got that coming out. We'll probably release that. I mean, I'll fly through it now. Then I can probably release it in the next hour.
Nice. Cool.
Nice. Yeah, I will have that video update or out today. So that'd be pretty cool for everybody. Awesome. Matt, you got anything to add, my friend?
No, man. I'll let everybody get to their day, get the update out, and we'll catch everybody in the group.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night, everyone. Morning, afternoon, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Till next time. Cheers.